people. Today is, let's see, goodness, it's already the end of, well, we're nearing the end of October. Weirdness. So today we are on episode 4 of Talks with Tay, and I'm going to be interviewing Miss Janet, who is up here in the comments. And so real briefly, guys, Janet works with me at Austin Family Counseling, and she is just lovely. And I'm going to introduce her right now. Let's get her on here. We did it! I'm so excited! I can't believe. Let's knock on wood. It's like no issues yet. I mean, the first couple of times on these lives, it's been like we've had to like repeat and try again and all of that. But we did first time this time.
I believe it. This is uncharted waters, Taylor.
Right. Well, let me introduce you to everybody.
Yes.
So I've got your little Instagram post pulled up. So everybody, present and future viewers, this is Miss Janet Mize, LMFT Associate. She is supervised by Miss Kirby Schroeder.
Sandlin?
I will botch.
I should know this.
So,
well,
so she's supervised by Kirby. Kirby, our little bosso at Austin Family Counseling. So I'm going to read your little post real quick for those who didn't get to read it. So Janet attended St. Edward's University for her undergraduate degree and then spent 15 years working in advertising and marketing. I have tons of questions for you on that. And
Absolutely.
Many years later, she began her journey to become a therapist. Then in 2020, Janet graduated from Abilene Christian University, go Wildcats, with a master's in marriage and family therapy, concentrating in child and adolescent therapy. That's cool. Areas of expertise. So Janet enjoys working with a broad range of clients, couples in various stages of relationships, caregivers and parents of young children, individuals, families, and young professionals. I did not know that last bit. So she supports clients with a variety of concerns, including anxiety, depression, emotion regulation, life transitions, communication, self-care, and relation skills. And a fun fact about Janet is that Janet is an Austinite born and raised. She loves the Austin vibe and is excited to be at Austin Family Counseling, serving our unique and growing community. You know what is actually coming up as I'm reading that last part?
Yeah.
If you have seen Austin like grow through the years, I can't imagine gosh, I think since January, just we had so many people moving into Austin.
So many. Yes. By the
What
minute,
has that been like for you? Just to see it grow.
Yeah.
After being
wild.
here. Is it?
Well, and it's wild, and it's cool and wild to be at Austin Family because it kind of comes full circle because that's where I grew up, was like honestly not too far from the Westlake office. Like I went to Eanes Elementary, I went to Hill Country Middle, and then I went to a private high school a little bit outside of that area. So it is just crazy. And back then, like we didn't go north of 183. Like that was like boondocks type of thing. And now it's considered central. So, you know, in some ways I wish I kind of appreciated it more. And not that I didn't, but, you know, just simple things like when you were younger, even in college, going to St. Edward's, you know, we were down the street from downtown. I mean, you could just like walk into ACL like it was no big deal. You could go to Blues on the Green like it was no big deal. And now, you know, it's just because of the population, everything's like a thing, like parking and traffic. So yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, if you don't park in the right spot. That's a thing.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. Can't just park at the IHOP.
No, not
You
at
got
all.
you gotta plan it. So it
Wow.
is cool to be from here. I can't believe that now that's a unicorn thing, because it used to kind of be growing up that you would always run into people that you knew, and now that's like a rarity. But it's also fun to
Really?
meet people from other places and just how much they love Austin. I do appreciate that anyone who comes here like is here with fresh eyes and just loves every little part of the town. So yeah, it's crazy.
That's so cool. I actually didn't realize that it's becoming more of a, like, you don't meet a lot of people these days that are just from Austin. Like, it's people just from everywhere else.
Everywhere else. Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know,
So
I'm actually thinking now about, do I know many people who are from Austin? I mean, my husband is. He's from
yes.
Austin. Yeah,
Ah.
he is, and that's about it. I don't know anybody else. I'm thinking like, I know, oh, you, now you, so
Yeah.
I know two people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my
Absolutely.
goodness. Well, so looking at my little question sheet, so just going off of the fun fact of just being an Austinite and all of that, go ahead and tell the viewers just a little bit more about yourself and your interests and more of who you are just as a person before we dive into the Janet the therapist.
Right? Oh, and that's even crazy to hear, Taylor. Like it doesn't roll off the tongue yet. I haven't had, granted, we don't have as many of those opportunities, the cocktail parties or what do you do? Like, but the few times I have, I'm like, I'm a therapist. I'm a therapist. It's so like, anyways, yeah. So yeah, Austin born and raised. I have two kiddos. I have a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old, and I also have two dogs, and then a wonderful husband. All are male, so I'm very much surrounded by male energy all day. Let's see what else. Yeah, and then this is my second career. In my 30s, somewhere in my 30s, just decided to take a new adventure. And so this still feels very fresh for me in some ways. I mean, I only graduated back in last year in October. So I guess, gosh, about a year ago. That's kind of crazy too. So yeah. What else? I don't know. Don't have many hobbies. I feel like I'm pretty basic. Just getting
Well,
to.
I was looking, I actually kind of looked at the AFC website, and it was, so on the website it says we can find you outdoors, finding new trails to explore. I do that
Yes,
too. We do have some real good trails in Austin, I will say.
this is true.
Spending time with your husband and your two energetic boys and your pups, and then catching up on the latest TV binge. And my question to you is, what are you currently watching right
Oh
now?
no, can I admit it?
Keep it PG, Janet. Keep it PG, please.
It's so funny because you would think, I was talking to someone about this the other day, that you would think in our like line of profession that, I don't know, you'd be pretty choice with what you watch. I love reality TV, but I also feel like I live reality TV to a degree sometimes. So it's kind of funny that it would seek it elsewhere, but for me,
Yeah.
that is just that turn your mind off, just truly be entertained type of thing. So if it's on Bravo, I'm probably watching it. And then there are other like sitcoms as well, what we're into, Schitt's Creek and things like that. I love a good comedy for sure.
So good. I'm actually remembering now when we all, when Laura did that, what in the world was it? She was asking about the love languages in our meeting, and then
Yes.
you were in quality time and I was quality
Yes,
time, and then Ian
that's
was
right.
too. And we all got to talking about, or y'all got to talking about, I think, Real Housewives or something like that. It was something
Probably.
like that. Yeah. And oh my gosh. But then we all started talking about Schitt's Creek and all of that. And that's the one my husband and I just watched that one again. So we were
Did
rewatching
you?
that one. Yes. Yeah.
Has it been enough time? It worked. Like, it was fine. It's been enough time. You can rewatch it. It was good.
Yes, I actually enjoyed it the second time. Like,
Time
I think I
around.
enjoyed it
Yeah.
more. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was funny because I didn't realize how big of a character arc Alexis actually had. They all had character
Interesting.
arcs, but I really saw it the second time around.
God,
And I think, I
yes.
mean, I don't know why. I just, different
I hear
perspective,
you.
you catch different things, I guess.
Yeah, I
But,
agree. I'm waiting to do that with Ted Lasso because so I love Brene Brown. Like if I listen to a podcast, it's anything she does, and she's a super Ted Lasso fan. And it's interesting because she like brings different dynamics in it where I'm like, I didn't catch that at all. So I almost want to do that with Ted Lasso, like watch it again and kind of get that different perspective.
uh-huh. Man, when I was looking at your bio today on the website, I kind of like, I was looking at a couple other bios, and I swear Brene Brown is on like half of our bios, to be honest. I mean, like,
I
for
know,
good
like
reason.
for the
I mean,
quotes,
like,
yeah.
like for good reason. But I was like, we're like a Brene Brown fan club over here.
Yes.
Like, we're like, yeah.
I know. It's always so inspiring.
It is. Yes. I cannot wait to hear about, like, she's got that new show coming out or something.
Yes.
That's great. So, okay. So I know you had mentioned just in the About You stuff about how you spent around like 15 years doing the marketing, advertising and marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like people watching this, well, even just like me, I'm thinking the stuff that we do and marketing, that's just different fields, different work. So tell me more about how, just your journey. I would love to hear about your journey. Like, start from beginning to end.
Shift. Yeah, great question. So let's see. Let's start back in college. So at St. Ed's. So actually, my first college was University of Tampa. Since I'm from here, I was convinced like I'm going to go to college anywhere else but Texas. Not anything against Texas. It was just me like needing to venture out. And so I applied to all Florida and California schools and ended up going, yeah, in both coasts. Ended up going to University of Tampa my freshman year. It didn't work out for various reasons, and that's okay. It was still a good experience, and then landed at St. Ed's, which inevitably was where I needed to be. And didn't know what I was going to major in, like most of us, right? Undeclared or something. So I majored in art, which is wild. And then took a lot of like marketing classes because I knew I wanted to go into advertising. They didn't have like an advertising degree per se. So that's what I did after college. I worked at various like agencies in town, doing what they call media planning, which is you just kind of buy, like literally buy this ad spaces like in magazines or on TV or on websites. I did account management, which is more the relational aspect where like you are the coordinator between the client and the creatives, and you're kind of that go-between to help translate things. And then transitioned to like a financial services company, but within this mega company, they have like various marketing departments, creative departments. So that was kind of my journey. And then honestly, it shifted, that financial services company, like I was there a good portion of my growing up. Like while I was there, I got engaged, we got a dog, we got a house, we got married, had 2 babies. I mean, all within this same company. So then I came back from my maternity leave with my second kiddo. I was very grateful that I got to take like an extended leave. So I really just got to kind of sink into being out of the office and everything. And I remember coming back to something crazy. I mean, like 5,000 emails or just something insane. And I was like, is this what I want? What do I want to do? And so that would kind of prompted some self-exploration of like, what are the soft skills of my job that I like that could translate? And what I loved is like the connections with my coworkers, with my clients. Like I knew all about their families, what they did on the weekend, and whatever. And I figured it was going to take some schooling, right? Like whatever I was going to do was going to switch And then just kind of, I can't even honestly remember how I landed on therapy but when I did, I looked at the coursework, it just like clicked. I was like, yeah, I want to take that class. Like, that sounds interesting, you know? And then started searching for programs. And funny enough, my dad found Abilene Christian. He was like, Janet, have you seen this program? I was like, Dad, and then that's where I landed, and it was great. I'm so appreciative. I know.
Like,
it's always in there.
Why do you have to be right? Even as an adult, why do you have to be still right? Like,
Isn't that terrible? There's always that angsty teen in us.
Yeah, there's some of that we just do not grow out of. I mean, no. No, not at all.
No.
That is so cool. I'm thinking too, if that 15 years was spent, you know, like, so, like, a huge part of your life started within that 15 years. Well, you had a lot of firsts, like, y'all got a dog and you got engaged and you had children and all of that happened there. And I'm sure that wasn't easy to leave. I'm sure that was a big decision for you.
You're right. Yeah, such a good point. It was not taken lightly. And it was almost one of those bittersweet ones where, like, I'm always like, I think it was such a great place to work. I love the people. I was very blessed to have very good, like, managers in teams. Like, you know how everyone kind of has that story of a horrible boss? I just didn't have that. And I was so blessed. Like, I learned so many different things from there. So yeah, certainly was hard, but then it's kind of like it was time, you know, how like something serves you at a certain point, and everyone was really supportive too, because I was doing both, like, school and then work. Then I went down to part-time to start my internship, you know, practicum, and then that's when I was like, all right, I gotta, you know, bow out. And everyone was so supportive. Like, it was one of those kind of welcome, like, you know, go do it. So that was helpful.
Oh my gosh. Getting emotional.
Like it's kind of like our little, like, Jamie, like, you know, like, come on, you need to fly. And
yes,
you know,
yes,
kind of same sentiment.
Oh wow, yeah. I didn't realize were you working full time when you were doing your program?
Yeah, for most of it. Yeah. So
wow.
Yes,
And being a mom
and all the things. Why not? Just kidding. No, it wasn't easy.
Oh, why not?
For sure.
Why not?
Yeah. I mean, and that's your evenings. Maybe that's why, like, I crave TV binge so much right now. Cause, like, you know, forget it for those 2.5, 3, how long school? 3 years ish, you know, like
3 years, 3,000, somewhere in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, discussion post at, you know, 10 o'clock at night.
Self-reflection, paper, sorry.
Self-care plan. Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's a really cool journey. And I think I said this, I don't remember who I was talking to, but something that my dog just decided that now is the time to chew on a bone. So let me know if it gets too loud. She's got like a plastic bone.
Good.
Therapy is one of those things, and becoming a therapist, it's almost like it finds you, and there's not like, or not like it finds you.
Yeah.
You don't wake up one day and you're like, I want to be a mental health therapist. It's you find it along the way.
There's like a journey to it.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How about you? When did you know? Do I get to ask you questions?
Oh, you totally can.
Yeah. Okay.
So I knew that I want in high school. I wanted to do psychology. Like I don't know why I knew. Junior year, I started figuring out I liked understanding other people, and so I went into psychology. Got my undergrad in that. But the whole time in undergrad, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. So I went and I interned at a police department. That wasn't it. I got into I worked with the crime victim advocate for a while, for a semester. And that was a lot of social work. That was a lot of case management. And I was like, this ain't it. Like, I want the relational piece of that, like the connection, like you were saying. And So I kind of stepped away from that. I kind of just decided there that, you know, the social work probably wasn't it for me. And then I started just volunteering at places where I could just interact. And ultimately, the therapist door opened up for me when I volunteered at a crisis helpline in college with a bunch of undergraduate students.
Wow.
And
Taylor, you really have seen it.
I
Right?
have done a lot of things. Yeah.
I mean, to be
yeah.
put into crisis at that young, right? And that fresh into it, like that builds some grit.
Yes. All of that really prepared me to go into, my internship was at the inpatient hospital. And I feel like all of the accumulated training that I had really got put to use, and I got to use it out on the floor when I was there. But yeah, so it's kind of in the same way. I kind of had to try on a couple different roles until I got the right feel, and I like found my way at that point.
And then do you even feel like that now with like kind of, or at the point where you're trying to figure out your population, right? And certainly what I love about this career is that can shift, right? Next year I can be like really into teens and kind of shift to working with that, but it kind of feels
so
like
much
the same.
freedom.
Yeah,
we really
it can be hard sometimes, but also cool.
True. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. It was interesting when I went into grad school. I actually picked my grad school. I went to a grad school in San Antonio, and I specifically went there because San Antonio has a very large veteran population, and I wanted to work with veterans because I come from a military family, and so
you do.
Mm-hmm. And so I actually ended up, I haven't worked with one veteran since, at all. And I now I do play therapy and like Santre. Like
and you're the teen queen.
I know. Right? And it's so interesting. It's our journey changes a lot. In interesting ways, like and a lot of people, like I've had the chance to talk to, it's usually like a family friend or like an acquaintance's daughter, something like that, but they'll ask me, like one of them that I'm thinking of, she wants to be an LMFT, and she has like she like knows the population she wants to work with and the modality that she wants to practice. And I told her, I was like, that's so awesome. And also give yourself a little bit of room to explore and find other things that you can use in combination with that, or find other things that fit you better. And I don't say that part, but
I hear you. Yeah. And it all, like, I feel like everything is going to serve you in some way. Like, certainly the schooling that you had that was maybe more, veteran focused either has served you in some way or it will. Like, it's just kind of trusting that, all those things come around for a reason.
Yes. I actually, there was at one point in my program where I almost dropped out. And you work with couples, and the first client that I ever saw in my practicum was a high conflict couple. High conflict couple.
Oh no, ma'am.
It was looking back, they should not have
We were babies. We were babies. Like, we just needed to be like used to like being in the room. Remember like counseling skills? Like,
yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh no.
I got that. I went home and I told my mom, I was like, and this was like on a Friday, I think, or a Thursday. And I was like, I'm going to give it till Monday, but Monday I'm pulling out of that program. I'm not going back. Like, I'm not doing this. And really, I think that was a sign of like, okay, so that's horrifying as a first client. Like, I think that was that reaction. But my mom, she, like, bless her heart. Like, I almost dropped out of the program a couple of times out of just stress from like getting a high conflict something, and like just be like,
what do I do with this?
yeah.
What got you past Monday?
So strange. I actually went to one of my yearly exams the following week, and my mom was trying to convince me to stay in the program, whatever. My then fiance was trying to convince me, whatever. And then the freaking doctor, I for some reason told her, I have seen her since I was like 17, 15, somewhere in there. And she was asking about my program, and I was honest with her. I was like, I might not be in it for very long. And she just looked at me and she was like, you're going to be able to use that master's degree, that specific master's degree, the counseling, you're going to be able to use that in so many ways. Don't
give up.
Yeah. She was like, do not drop out. And it's so funny because I went to see her a couple months ago and I gave her a couple of my business cards.
Taylor, full circle. Stop it. I love those stories where it's like this one thing, like she probably never knew how impactful that was, right? Like she was just being honest with you, sort of thing. She's off to the next thing. I love that.
Yeah. I made sure to like make sure that she knew that was a really big turning point.
Wow.
It was horrible.
It is. But don't
she
you
was
hope
right.
that, like, we can do that, like, with our clients sometime? Like, I hope that sometimes when it makes sense that we can help support when it, you know, when we truly see this, like, bright light.
Yeah. That is how powerful it is because, you know, like my mom, I didn't listen to her. My fiance, I didn't listen to him. But for some reason, my doctor, the one I only see once a year, was the one that I heard. And, you know, it's like, yes. And that's kind of, we are that role for our clients too. You know, we're that voice that's not their family, that's not their friend, but cares about them.
Yeah. But then impartial, right? Yeah. Like she could have been like, no, that's, you know, she could have gone the other way with it. So yeah. Oh, cool. And here you are.
I know. It's crazy. Well, lady, let me ask you some more questions. We have about 30 more minutes until we have part 2 of this lovely evening. I can't wait. So, okay. The next question on this one, and you kind of touched on this, but did you always know that you wanted to be a therapist or in the helping profession?
No, but then kind of thinking about it, like, you know, the role that you kind of like play, like, I don't know, in your family or like in your friends, like, I feel like that was kind of always there, like the listener, certainly the peacekeeper, things like that. And then I remember at that company that I was at for 15 years, we took like a strengths assessment. It was actually kind of a cool corporate tool that they helped everyone take this like strengths assessment. And it was supposed to help us like kind of empathize with each other's strengths and growth areas and kind of communicate better. Anyway, I use it more as a personal tool. And I remember like I was high on like adaptability, positivity, activator, learner, and all those just to me make so much sense for this field. So no, not always, but I'm very grateful to be here.
That's cool. That's great. And if you were not a therapist, what do you think you would be?
I don't know. Bougie somewhere? I'm not sure. No, I'm like, I don't have like any, you know, like I'm into like any hobbies or it's like I wouldn't go, you know, I don't know. I mean, and maybe also because I'm so fresh into this that it's still like, you know, like it's good. I'm eating it up. So I really don't know, but it's a good question.
Well, I mean, you did this whole other career for 15 years. So,
Yeah.
I mean, which is cool. I'm so, you know, that that intrigues me so much, the advertising and marketing, because that is also a part of our job. Like you as a business, and I mean, it's not the time to teach that in grad school, but I also wish they teach that in grad school. Like,
Agree 100%. Like I didn't realize how much like self-branding and really like I guess for most the goal is to go in private practice, right? For most, not every, and it's figuring that out. But private, like you are your brand. Like it's and that's kind of a wild thing too. Like I think there was one question too about kind of like yourself as a therapist and like where one ends and one kind of begins, and it gets a little jumbled for sure. Again,
yeah,
back to our lovely Jamie. Did you do her lunch and learn and
I
that
did.
and that beautiful exercise of being able to kind of see those differences? That was helpful.
I told Jamie, I was like, if you don't go on to
Girl,
teach this, I'm gonna be so mad at you.
I'll need to take it again.
I know. It was so powerful.
Yeah.
I don't think she's in this. Oh, Josh is here though. I think Josh is, well, someone's still here. Well, Josh was here at some point. He's an AFC alum. Okay.
Oh, cool.
What's the hardest part and the best part of being a therapist?
Hardest part depends on the day. I definitely hear you on those high conflict couples or just those sessions that just really kind of like you just internalize more. But aside from that, I feel like practicing what you preach.
Yes. Yeah,
I'm
we're
here.
human.
I'm giving you the tools. We're talking. It makes sense. And then I go home and I'm like, why did I just do that? Yes. It's so hard when we know the things.
Yes.
It's not for
almost
lack
worse.
of knowledge.
It's almost worse because it's one thing to, not know, but the reason I think it's worse is because we do know.
Yeah.
And that we just don't use that.
So much darn self-awareness.
Right. And then what about the best part?
So for this one, for me, I kind of lean on like, so one of the theories is like collaborative, the collaborative approach, which I believe, if I remember this correctly, one of the kind of main ideas is that me, the therapist, is a guest in your world, right? Like, even though you're entering the room, you're coming to my office, I'm still a guest in your world, and treating that relationship as such, right? That I want to be a welcomed guest. I want to be warm. I want to be thoughtful. I want to be connected. And I love like that I get to be a guest to their story, to their narrative. Like just, it's just almost so like you're just honored, even though what they're talking about can certainly be hard and difficult, but you get to be there supporting it. Like it's crazy what we get invited to.
It's an honor. It really is. It's an honor. It's a privilege. And it's not something that we take lightly,
It's a responsibility.
It totally is. Yes. So how does being a therapist influence your personal life?
Gosh, I know, right? That's a good question. Maybe it's partly those tools. I mean,
I get asked like, this all the time.
Oh, I'd love to hear
From family members, honestly.
Oh, yeah? Yeah. What did they say? Or what did they ask? That.
Can you not be a therapist right now? Can you, turn Taylor therapist off and just be Taylor? Be like, they're one and the same.
Well, because now we have this lens. Yeah. Okay. I get, yes. Because now it's hard when you have that lens to not see, to take it off sometimes. Yes. Yeah. I agree. Like it definitely changes your perspective. I think in a good way, honestly, like I hope I have, better perspective now, but yeah, you're right. Like it can be hard to shut off, and it can be hard when you get those kind of one-offs, I don't know, from friends or elsewhere, and you're like, oh, I gotta be careful about how I navigate this. Yeah, yeah. It also makes you more aware of your social settings. Like when I'm in HEB, I'm like, with my kids, I'm like, all right, we got to be acting right.
Yeah, right,
Not that they
right.
wouldn't, but it's a funny dynamic. I agree. It's hard to separate. It's kind of one and the
It
same.
is. It is. It really, really is.
Yeah.
What are some common stigmas or misconceptions about therapy that you encounter?
So I was thinking about this. One that came to mind that's actually kind of come up recently for me is this fix it mentality that a client might get, and I understand why. And actually, I've been that person. Like I remember a while back, my husband and I going to parent support and being like, da, 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 what do we do? And thinking we're going to knock this out in one session, let's go, right? And just completely missing the intent of the whole experience. So I get it, and it's hard when that's the expectation. So I find a lot of times like finding myself and be like, oh, even though we're 6-8 sessions in, I need to like reset, make sure that we're all kind of on the same page with that. I can't fix it. I hope it gets better. I'm going to give you tools. I'm going to help you explore. I'm going to give you safe space, but I'm not a magician. And maybe it's not meant to be fixed. I don't know. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a very different dynamic than, and I get that a lot with littles, like little kids, not as much with teens, but I was talking to, I think it was in Samaya's live last Friday. We were kind of reflecting on, it's almost as if, like when you take your kids to the doctor, it's almost like the same dynamic kind of plays out. You go to a doctor if they have a cold or you need medicine, and the doctor's going to fix it. And then, so you go to someone like that when you have a problem. And in our line of work, it's almost the same narrative kind of plays out. They're having a problem and they're coming someone to fix it. And a lot of times I think we're the first professional role that's not offering the fix it solution. And I don't know about you, but I have gotten a little bit of backlash from that, of just parents being a little bit frustrated that I can't do that. And I would understand that, like the frustration.
Yeah.
But
and I only get so much time and the intent, and yes, yeah, absolutely.
1 hour a week.
Like 1 hour a week. Yeah. That's why I love whenever I'm working with littles that I can also work close with parents. And I like when that opportunity, when it really works out that way, I just feel like it just escalates the process so much more.
What kind of work do you like to do with parents? How does that look?
Yeah, so I love that at AFC Austin Family that, we have the opportunity to dive into positive discipline, and that has just really clicked for me, like professionally and personally. Again, talk about knowing the things and trying to do the things. But it's so nice, like, because it's more like of a way of being and just kind of like a general style. And there are these really tactical tools to try, but then the tools are, you can make them your own, because you always tell parents, like, I'm not trying to take away from what's working, and you have your own style in your family, and I want to respect that. But here's some ways, just to kind of, put it into perspective. So yeah, that's been really fun doing like the parent coaching. Like it's been really cool to explore. And then I feel like, hopefully it helps to connect too, that I'm like, oh yes, been there. I know what you mean. Absolutely. I get it. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like to use you come at it from the positive discipline angle and then from a personal angle as well, and come at it from more of like a coaching and skills-based approach?
You got it. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'm with you on the more parent work I can do. Like I've recently started with the team that I have. The parents have been actually wanting to come and do like sessions every 4 weeks or so.
Oh, nice.
I've seen the results of that showing up in the individual sessions during the week. And something clicked in my head where I was like, you know what? I need to start working with parents more and like really diving in there and not being afraid to dive in there and be like, look, I'm not like coming at your parenting style. I'm not, I'm not attacking you. I'm trying to help you take what works and make that better and to help plug in some new things,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So I love how you said that. Like all
yeah. Yeah. It comes
that's
at
nice
it holistically, right? Like really, because truly, even if I'm seeing the teen to an element, there's still family work. Maybe that's kind of my systemic background, right? But it's like whenever you're with teens, like at some point you talk about their parents or their caregivers or whatever
Oh, I'd be concerned if you weren't talking about that. Like, be like,
right. Yeah. And being a teen, being a kid today is hard, and being a parent is hard. So I'm like, hey, we all need support, and let's be on the same page. Like, yeah,
absolutely.
Good.
So, some specific questions for you that I got, and then also that you got. You were asked by Timothy, what are the best life hacks for balancing work and life that you have discovered?
Oh man, I feel like it takes practice. So like thinking back to when I was in advertising and like marketing, like there wasn't really a work life balance because you just work because you're young and that's what you did and you could and you cared. Like so that's really become like a thing that I've had to learn along the way. Boundaries, but like healthy boundaries, where it's like, I'm going to shut my computer off this time, or I'm going to try to wrap up things on Friday so I can truly enjoy the weekend type of thing, just like real true boundaries about just get as far as you can get, let it go, type of thing. Gosh, little things is probably sounds a little too tactical, but like meal planning, because that is like the big, like, because I feel like it's part of self-care in that, like just really trying to make sure that we keep up just with our routine as much as we can. Other life hacks, God, finding a schedule. I feel like it's nice that we get to have freedom in our schedule. And it can be such a swirl sometimes. So I don't know that I'm there yet in that. Every season, I remember Laura saying this, like your schedule kind of switches every semester, every season. I'm still figuring that out. When it's balanced, it feels good. When it's not, you're like, why did I do that?
Yes, you can feel it when it's off balance. You can feel the imbalance.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. A little crazy.
I like what you said about like scheduling, like keeping up with that as much as you can, and also like meal planning as much as you can. We started doing that recently, and I was loving that because there's nothing more relieving than coming home to like something that is there, like a good meal.
Yes.
But when you know, like, you don't and whenever like when something like meal planning slips, it can throw you off because then you do have to start scrambling, and then that doesn't feel good.
Darn it for routines.
Yeah. Right. And okay, so another one that you got was what types of clients do you like to work with? And I touched on that in the thing, but expand on that as much or as little as you want.
Yeah, so that's been interesting too. How we were talking about like, some people kind of come in with this like idea and this modality and this client population. And I kind of thought after practicum, I was like, that's what I need. I need a niche. Like I need to be the person in that area and boom, like that's what I want to do, but then also honestly, the reality is it's like to a degree, like we need the experience and we need hours and things like that. So you kind of open yourself up. And I agree with what you said that like be open, see what kind of comes up. So right now, my client population, very broad, like as young as 5, as old as, early 70s. Here we go across this span.
Cool.
So I see some littles, I see some parents, I see some couples, couple individuals, and then an adult family. So it's very varied, but then I'm kind of like, I don't know, I kind of like it that it's varied,
Yes.
Sometimes it can be hard to sit too much with a particular population. Like, for example, like it would be very hard to have 20 high conflict couples. That would just be very taxing on anyone, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I would say out of that, what I'm really digging is the parenting work. And then I just did a training for premarital counseling. So I'm
Did you
hoping
just
to
put that on
dive
your
into that.
website? Or
I
on your
did, like
bio? I
just
saw
did.
that. I
So
saw
plug
that.
for
That
that.
looks cool. That looks really cool.
Yes, I love this idea, and maybe that's why I love parenting too, is it almost feels like preventative care in a way. Like, yes, we're going to dive into some things, and we're going to talk about a lot of things, but it's like, I love this, like helping prepare you for this life stage,
Yeah.
whatever that word is. Maybe
You're
not a
having,
word.
it's, you're having hard conversations early before, like, you're having those conversations before something hard happens.
Yeah.
Like, let's talk about the hard thing now before it
before
gets
I
hard.
want to get a divorce, or before I'm burnt
Yeah.
out as a parent. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
so cool. I'll probably want to talk to you more about that. Because something about couples scares me. It might have to do with that high conflict
It
couple
might
that
have to
I
do
got the first time.
What? Crazy.
Might be the root of it.
Yes,
But,
we can share some stories.
yeah, I might pick your brain a little bit more about that.
Yes,
And
please.
you also got the question of what do you do in couples therapy?
Oh, yeah, good segue. I feel like I'm finding my way to kind of navigate this. So what I found, so I pull a lot from Gottman, if anyone's familiar with Gottman, and then, really communication tools, and then a little EFT and other stuff. But during the first couple sessions, I really like to focus on like what I call like connected communication. Like, let's set a baseline for here are the things that we want to do more of. Here's the things that if this presents in a conversation, guess what? That conversation, that argument's going to go off the rails. So I really try to like ground them and be like, okay, especially in here, this is your place to practice. This is our place to slow down. We're really going to try to focus on these things and guarantee you every couple, everybody, self included, there are things on this list, the 4 horsemen, the fair fighting rules that people are like, oh yeah, I do that. Yeah. And you're like, well, guess what? When you do that, your partner feels totally dismissed and, goes into defense mode. So here's a different approach. So that's kind of laying the groundwork, and then we explore from there. Kind of either sticking points, we might slow down an argument, certainly explore family of origin. Always love to hear, okay, growing up, what was your parents' relationship like? What was communication like in your household, etc. So
That's cool. So you're doing a lot of you do a lot of like prep work, like before you just dive right into those deep conversations. You give them tools first on how to, like, tools to use in those hard conversations when we get to them in the future.
You got it, because I've been caught same thing where I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
this is how we communicate. Oh, no.
like you see it. Yeah, you're like, oh, so that's what's happening. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's good to get a slice sometimes because you can really see how it goes down.
Right.
However, totally non-productive in a counseling setting.
Right.
So,
that's cool. That's really neat. Okay, let's see. Okay. Last couple of questions.
Cool.
around, these two are going to go together pretty nicely, I think. So we have about, let's see, I'm looking for my phone. I'm on my phone. It's 7:51 right now, and we'll probably get off. Let's see. So I can do 7:57 because I'm just planning on going right into the next one. But how do you manage your stress as a therapist?
Whew, yeah. Does that pair with like how is it to be a therapist in the pandemic?
Your question. Yeah. I wrote that into the questions that I'm asking all the other ones too. I was like, that's a good one. And I put it in there.
Because I feel like that is when that came to light, right? You know, and especially as therapists, just really everyone got thrown into it. Just everyone got thrown into it. So yes, during that time period it came like, I need to care for myself. And I also appreciate that in most programs, counseling programs, they echo that. They're like, for you to show up as a professional as your best self, like you got to take care of yourself. Like, do I want to go to the doctor and she's all like super tired and whacked out and everything? No, I'm going to be like, I don't know if you should be getting my blood pressure today. Yeah. Same with us, right? And I get that. Yeah, and all that kind of us being really, interconnected to our therapist self. So my favorite is when I can, after sessions, just taking a walk, like just truly kind of getting outside, processing, take my dogs on a walk, listen to some Brene Brown. It's just like, it's kind of my little ritual.
That's good. So the ritual of detaching from the day.
Yes, absolutely. Of course, good sleep and meal planning, kind of things like that. But I'd say my biggest thing is just like getting outside, change of pace, and truly like, taking a walk. And then for me, like my weekends, like having that protected time, like I mentioned, like a life hack, like just really finishing, just really finishing on Fridays and having weekends, protected. And yeah, during the pandemic, that was nuts. I was in person doing my practicum, and then that's where I was when we transitioned. Luckily, I had at least enough under my belt there, and with that team to feel secure, transitioning. But I feel like it was nice because there was just this like high, like yes, everyone was super stressed and so many emotions that we were feeling at the same time, but also there was this heightened like sense of empathy. Like every single client, be like, myself, yes, very valid. And they'd be like, and everyone in the world is going through it. Like, when do we ever get to say that everyone in the world is experiencing something very similar? Like, that's just mind-blowing. So I appreciated how it really kind of helped connect this empathy piece. Granted hard worldwide. Yeah. Granted hard nonetheless, which I don't think I really got to truly process it until I was like done with grad school. But
yeah,
here we are. We can do it. We can do that. We can do it.
Yes, we can. I told it to Mize, I was like, if we got through that, we can get through literally anything. Like literally anything. Throw it at us.
We're here.
Yeah,
we're here.
We'll manage.
Yeah. And thank God for, the therapist communities that we have during that too. I think that I had a similar thing at my practicum, certainly that strong at AFC. And I lean on that so heavily during those like really tough moments. Like that community is everything. So
yes. Yeah. It really, really is. So true. And the last question on here is, if someone watching this video now or in the future is thinking or is on the fence about starting therapy, what would you say to them?
I don't know. That's a good question. Try it. I feel like it's always, you can have one session. You can call a wonderful intake coordinator, see what it's about, try it to a degree and see what you think. If it doesn't work, that's okay. Maybe you're not ready. Maybe it's not the right time, and that's okay. Really okay. Maybe you find like, hey, that was kind of different than I thought. I feel like it's hard, especially if you haven't done it before, to really like know what it's going to be like until you're in that session, and that goes right along with that fit, kind of question too, that it's interesting that yes, you're going to find someone who helps with anxiety or whatever it is that's presenting for you, but that relationship is huge. Yeah. So give it a whirl.
Give it a whirl. Whoever's thinking about it, Janet says, give it a whirl. That's what Janet says. Well, Janet, thank you so much for coming on this show. I feel like there's never enough time on these shows. I could just talk and ask you a million questions for hours, and I feel like you have such a unique story too. And I think, I was so excited for your video specifically because you have a really cool story of, you're a therapist who, you did something else for a long time. And I think some people don't, just because they're not a therapist now doesn't mean they won't be. Kind of like, don't throw away that dream if the dream is there.
Yeah, absolutely. Or whatever career shift, right? It's truly never too late. I mean, I had a 1-year-old and started grad school. You can do it.
Wow. That's so admirable. Oh my gosh.
Well, thank you, Taylor. Shout out to you. I mean, I hope everyone knows how much goes on behind the scenes to organize these, and you are on it. I so appreciate your work and your organization and the connection and just time to spend with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, lady. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in to episode 4, part 1, and we are going to hop on to part 2 here in just 2 minutes. We're going to interview Danielle Petrie, our lovely client coordinator. And after Danielle, just catch us next Friday for another little Talks with Tay. Thank y'all so much.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.